how's it going? This is Kim Reads Urantia, and it's a rainy Thursday, and I'm going to read to you from the Urantia book, but first I'm going to read a little bit from Light the Flame by Andrew Harvey. Yep, my kitty is here listening with me. Do you want to say hi to the people, Margie? Here she is. See, she's my companion. She's so nice. Say hi. Hi, everybody. See my little paw? Okay. All right. She's just being nice. Sometimes she's naughty, but she's nice right now. Okay. I'm going to read this. Okay, this is written by Andrew Harvey, inspired by Bernard de Clairvaux, who was born in 1090 France, in the year 1090 AD. So, and he was a monk. I know Saint Bernard. He's also known as Saint Bernard. Okay, so let's just read it. Bernard de Clairvaux, inspired by Bernard de Clairvaux. If the storms of temptation arise, if you crash against the rocks of tribulation, look to the star, call upon Mary. If you toss about on the waves of pride, of ambition, of slander, of hostility, look to the star, call upon Mary. If you begin to be swallowed up by the abyss of depression and despair, think of Mary. In dangers, in anxiety, in doubt, think of Mary, call upon Mary. When you are terrified by judgment or despair, think of Mary, for she holds you. You will never fail. If she protects you, you need not fear. May I, O Mary, always remember these words. Okay, so of course, I'm not going to think of this as referring to the actual person of Mary, the biological mother of God. No, this is bigger. And I think that's a big mistake that a lot of contemporary Christians make. We're not sanctifying the physical. She was a mother. She, disciplined her kids, and she had ambitions for them and hopes for them that were disappointed, and I'm sure she was as frustrated as any mother. And her husband Joseph died before the birth of their last child, so she had to do a lot of child rearing alone. And I'm sure that she was entirely human in her ups and downs. I'm sure she got mad, and she got, maybe she even spanked those kids. I don't know. But here, this is referring to the divine feminine. The divine feminine, or our universe mother spirit, who's always with us. That's what I think about this as. Our universe mother spirit is always side by side with us, holding us in physical reality, in the larger sense. That's a physical presence that includes all of the angels and the spirits here that are nourishing us and protecting us. So the source of our doubts and our fears is the physical realm, right? Because if we weren't frustrated by all these physical manifestations of things, what problems would we have? But so it's right. I think it's correct. It makes sense that the remedy for those doubts and fears should be in the presence of the divine aspect of the physical. Okay, so which is the universe mother spirit. Okay, these are physical presences. It's a physical presence that's outside of us, but it's a spiritual presence as well. So it reminds us to look to what we have instead of what we have not. It reminds us to nourish our bodies, to love ourselves, to love nature, to be grateful for the physical endowments that we have. My ability to speak, my ability to play, my just to be here with you in this moment. Okay, that's what that is. That's what that remedy is. When we're frustrated by what our hopes are dashed here, don't worry, be comforted in what you have. Okay, in the pleasures of just being. All right, and embraced by nature. Let the rain fall on your skin and feel that. That's what I think of when I think of the universe mother spirit. The air that I breathe, fresh water, good food, right? Sex, okay? That's all gifts from our mother spirit. And she's with us. Whether the Father is more like the Father abides in us and through us. Right? We are in the Father and He is in us. Our mother is outside of us, embracing us, but she never leaves us. The Father is transmitted through us, in us and through us. I remember one profound experience I had in Sweat Lodge, and I was pretty new to Sweat Lodge. And they're chanting this rhythmic Native American chant, and I don't know what it means, but they're chanting this in this rhythm. And the words that came to me when I was sitting there, and you're uncomfortable, you're sweating, but you're rising above this physical the limitations of your physical senses. And what came right to me, the words that came to me was, "My heart is dancing in you, Father. My heart is dancing with you, Mother. My heart is dancing with my mother. My heart is dancing in my Father." And that felt so right. But anyway, thank you that's kind of long, letting me share that again. That was really beautiful. Thank you, Andrew Harvey. Let's move ahead here to the Urantia book. And we're reading paper 5, part 3, true worship. True worship. So what constitutes true worship? And of course, before I found the Urantia book here, I thought that prayer and worship were the same thing. No, not. Okay, prayer is, a little bit more needy. It's a little bit more personal. So it can be request for something, or it can simply be, gratitude for something specific. But it always has more of a focus. One of the best things I've heard is that there's just two prayers that we need, that we have. Please and thank you. That's it. But worship is more like standing back from an amazing painting, right? And you see the facets of this and the implications of this work of art, what God has has rendered, it's made, and it's and you're trying to get apart from it, and you can't get apart from it because you're in it, you're part of it, and you're trying to apprehend all of that at once, and it becomes just more and more awesome, and you feel so tiny, and the whole thing feels so grand and so immense. And when I get to that point, I'm pierced through worship with this sense that it's perfect, it's absolutely correct, it's absolutely unassailable. There's nothing about this creation from and I know that there's horrible things in the world, heartrending, just but there's so much beauty also, and coming through that darkness is the essence of the beautiful experience to the light. And we need that. That's all part of it, and it's so magnificent, and it's perfect. I wouldn't change any part of it. I'm just abiding in that and just seeing that that's amazing and it's correct. It's absolutely, yeah, that's worship to me. That's what worship is. It's more of this observation of magnificence within God's being in all of creation, just incredible. It's hard to describe that feeling, but that's what I get to when I meditate on that, when I think about everything that I know, that I've witnessed, that I've lived through, even the suffering and the injustice and horror of some parts of it, that's balanced by the beauty and the goodness and just everything. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna read. I don't know, I could just spend all day just here going on this, but I better read now. I'm already 13 minutes into this presentation. True Worship, Part 3, or Section 3, I guess I should say. Through the paradise deities, from the universe standpoint, though the paradise deities from the universe standpoint are as one in their spiritual relations with such beings as inhabit Urantia, they are also three distinct and separate persons. There is a difference between the Godheads in the matter of personal appeals, communion, and other intimate relations. In the highest sense, we worship the universal Father and Him only. True, we can and do worship the Father as He is manifested in His Creator sons, but it is the Father, directly or indirectly, who is worshipped and adored. Right, because He's the first source and center. So all other worships, if we worship Jesus, well, Jesus didn't say worship me, but some people do. He passes that energy on to the Father. Even if we worship the Holy Spirit or the agents of the Holy Spirit, they reflect that energy to the universal Father and the master spirits, all of this, all of these beings. If you worship Kali or Zeus or Buddha, whatever, these beings reflect that energy toward the universal Father. Supplications of all kinds belong to the realm of the eternal Son and the Son's spiritual organization. Prayers all formal communications, everything except adoration and worship of the Universal Father, are matters that concern a local universe. They do not ordinarily proceed out of the realm of the jurisdiction of a Creator Son. But worship is undoubtedly encircuited and dispatched to the person of the Creator by the function of the Father's personality circuit. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So that's all that adoration is reflected from Jesus, from whatever you're worshiping, to the Father. Right, but supplications, if I need, Jesus, please help me with this job interview, or help me, deal with my son, whatever. And that's all legitimate. Okay, that's matters for the local universe to be met through the, and sometimes, prayers are always heard, but sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes more growth, because the object is always our growth. Okay, sometimes they see that we need to do this ourselves because we're ready, because we need to just trust our own intuition, and we have the strength for it. Okay, we have the strength and to deal with whatever's coming. That's the goal. So it's like being weaned off the bottle. The baby wants the milk from here, but sometimes, okay, you're ready to have some solid food to chew on. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. We further believe that such registry of the homage of an unjuster, indwelt creature is facilitated by the Father's Spirit presence. Okay, there exists a tremendous amount of evidence to substantiate such a belief, and I know that all orders of Father fragments are empowered to register the bona fide adoration of their subjects acceptably in the presence of the Universal Father. So whenever you feel that sense that, wow, this is magnificent, whatever it is you're experiencing it, God knows that that's important. That's important to your development, and that's the Father smiling on you. That's a gift. It's a gift both from your Father, from the Father to you, and from you to your Father. That's divine communion. The Justers undoubtedly also utilize direct pre-personal channels of communication with God, and they are likewise able to utilize the spirit gravity circuits of the eternal Son. Okay, so you're connected. If you're aware of your thought adjuster, you're connected. You're connected to the circuits of the eternal Son, the spirit circuits, spirit gravity circuits, and the personality circuits. Worship is for its own sake. Prayer embodies a self or creature interest element. That is the great difference between worship and prayer. There is absolutely no self-request or other element of personal interest in true worship. We simply worship God for what we comprehend Him to be. Worship asks nothing and expects nothing for the worshiper. We do not worship the Father because of anything we may derive from such veneration. We render such devotion and engage in such worship as a natural and spontaneous reaction to the recognition of the Father's matchless personality and because of His lovable nature and adorable attributes. Yep. And I don't know, the word adorable. When I think of the word adorable, it's kind of like diminutive. Oh, he's so adorable. But that's not what I feel. I feel like such power in that this is able to connect things of such diverse natures and patterns and make that all part of one thing. That's powerful to me. And to realize that I'm connected to all of this power, that's really good. And that makes me feel humble. That makes me feel humble, small in comparison. The moment the element of self-interest intrudes upon worship, that instant devotion translates from worship to prayer, and more appropriately should be directed to the person of the eternal Son or the Creator Son. Right. So when I'm praying for my own needs, I should pray to the eternal Son and the Creator Son. And allow myself, like we said, to be comforted by Mary, by the Divine Feminine that's always with us and embracing us. But in practical religious experience, there exists no reason why prayer should not be addressed to God the Father as a part of true worship. Okay, so I don't know. So self-interest is more directed toward the eternal Son, Creator Son, but in practical religious experience, okay, so you can pray to I'm saying this, you can pray to the Father, sure, that's part of worship. So there's no taboo against praying to the Father, I would say. It's just whatever moves you, whatever feels right to you. And I think those higher beings are going to sort all that out. I don't worry about, am I praying to the right person? Am I doing it the right way? No, the whole thing is genuine. Come from up through the roots of your being and access that what's truly genuine within you. When you deal with the practical affairs of your daily life, you are in the hands of the spirit personalities having origin in the third source and center, the Holy Spirit, when you're dealing with practical things. You are cooperating with the agencies of the conjoint actor. And so it is. You worship God, pray to and commune with the Son, and work out the details of your earthly sojourn in connection with the intelligences of the infinite Spirit operating on your world and throughout your universe. Okay, I think that's plain enough. Okay, so the ability to make my prayers come true comes through the infinite Spirit, because there I'll be given those tools. So understanding what I need, understanding what I need, what my needs are, comes through the eternal Son. The ability to make that happen, to work for those ends, comes through the infinite Spirit. And appreciation of the whole structure of this is worshiping the universal Father. Okay. The creator or sovereign sons who preside over the destinies of the local universes stand in the place of both the universal Father and the eternal Son of Paradise. These universe sons receive, in the name of the Father, the adoration of worship and give ear to the pleas of their petitioning subjects throughout their respective creations. To the children of a local universe, a Michael son is, to all practical intents and purposes, God. Right. Because, I mean, how can we see? We can't even see beyond our universe to all this super universes and stuff. This is because we're so little. The Michael Sun is like God to us. He is the local universe personification of the universal Father and the eternal Son. The infinite Spirit maintains personal contact with the children of these realms through the universe spirits, the administrative and creative associates of the Paradise Creator Sons. Yeah. Okay, that totally makes sense. Right. So the Creator Son is really the representation of God the Father here in our universe. And we're lucky enough to have him come to our planet here. Sincere worship connotes the mobilization of all the powers of the human personality under the dominance of the evolving soul and subject to the divine directionization of the associated thought adjuster. Right. That's so weird because, like, when I worship, what I really feel is powerlessness. I feel like all of my power is, what I'm feeling is like so small in relation to this whole structure. But that is the mobilization of all the powers of the human personality. So somehow that feeling of powerlessness belies, it's like giving me power. I feel powerless, but it's giving me power. Okay, kind of taking away my ego and filling that with filling that space with God's power. Something, because that's the mobilization of all the powers of the human personality under the dominance of the evolving soul and subject to the divine directionization of the associated thought adjuster. The mind of material limitations can never become highly conscious of the real significance of true worship. Man's realization of the reality of the worship experience is chiefly determined by the developmental status of his evolving immortal soul. The spiritual growth of this soul takes place wholly independently of the intellectual self-consciousness. Right. So this is happening. The growth of the soul is subconscious. Okay? That's independent of the intellectual self-consciousness. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting that when you feel like so small, that and powerless in the presence of this huge creation, the presence of God, that is actually what's seeding true power within you to do the will of God. Okay. That's crazy, but that's beautiful too. The worship experience consists in the sublime attempt of the betrothed adjuster to communicate to the Divine Father the inexpressible longings and the unutterable aspirations of the human soul. The conjoint creation of the God-seeking mortal mind and the God-revealing immortal adjuster. So this is more these longings that are inutterable and inexpressible. What is in myself, my desires that I can't even articulate, are being revealed to the Father through my adjuster. Worship is, therefore, the act of the material mind's assenting to the attempt of its spiritualizing self under the guidance of the associated spirit to communicate with God as a faith son of the Universal Father. The mortal mind consents to worship. The immortal soul craves and initiates worship. The divine adjuster presence conducts such worship in behalf of the mortal mind and the evolving immortal soul. True worship, in the last analysis, becomes an experience realized on 4 cosmic levels: the intellectual, the morontial, the spiritual, and the personal. The consciousness of mind, soul, and spirit, and their unification in personality. So this is all the vital parts of me coming together in worship. That's big. Why does it make me feel so small? I don't know. It does. That's what it, I don't know. Probably because it's my ego disappearing and I'm falling into something greater than myself. Okay. Something greater than my own little issues. Okay, I think that's it for today. Thank you for staying with me for this half an hour. Have a great one. Bye.